Good evening, YouTube. Day 10, show 2. It's about 10 past 11, 5 past 11 in the evening. We couldn't film this review earlier because we went to this show, which was Etty ... in transit, and then we had to dash out to Tynecastle Park, but more about Tynecastle Park, which is a football stadium, in the next video, so look out for that. You wanted to read?
Yeah, I'm going to read from the programme
rather than just the standard details stuff.
So Etty in Transit charts the journey of two lives that interweave throughout the play. Sam Edwards is a mature fashion model who, as an ambassador for mental health awareness, vlogs to her followers during the first lockdown of 2020. She has mental health problems and quickly spirals into depression due to the pandemic. Isolated in her flat, she discovers the diaries of Etty Hillesum and begins to devour them.
Now, Etty Hillesum is a real person.
Yes. And her diaries are written during the Nazi occupation of the Netherlands between 1941 and 1943.
We'll talk about where the play was first.
Yeah.
It was at the old St Paul's Church, it was an inventive use of the space, because we thought it was going to be in the actual main
nave of the church. Body of the church.
It was, that was just the holding area. Then we went through, and it's a smaller room. There was about 15 or 16 of us. It would accommodate no more than 30. It's sort of in the round, but it was a longish room.
It was a side chapel.
And there was 2 screens at either end.
Yeah.
I thought, I have one small issue with it, and that's the fact that we were, rather than have everything on the 2 screens so you could look at either end, there were certain things, the parts with Sam on were on one screen, and static pictures, real pictures, were on the other screen. The problem with that is that all of the music all of the sound effects were coming from one area. So the problem with having the 2 screens at either end was you weren't always sure which screen to look at, especially when you heard a sound effect or a piece of music started. And then you would look and there wasn't anything on that screen, and it was just... So I know it's probably quite difficult for them. The sounds don't want to come from one direction in that room, in that chapel. They need to be coming from both ends, I guess, really. Because I did keep, and I wasn't the only one.
No, we were all sort of doing that and thinking, no, it's not on that one, it's on that one.
It's a small point, but it is worth mentioning. They made very good, I don't want to give too much away, but they made very good use of that space and other spaces in the church, I thought.
I think we can talk about it. So the actress...
it's a one-woman show.
One woman, So she is on screen as Sam, but she plays, so she's physically there, even though she's the same person. She's physically there as Etty. Though actually, that's not true.
That's true.
Sorry, she's Etty. Sorry, I beg your pardon.
She's Etty all the way through.
It's because when we went in, she's lying face down on, I think it's an altar. I mean, I was trying to work out what that table... No, it was very ornate, and it was very high. It wasn't just a table.
Well,
anyway, it had a sort of an embroidered cloth on. It was definitely been used as an altar.
I disagree.
Anyway.
That isn't irrelevant, I'm afraid. Anyway. And I initially wasn't quite sure how old, because she's an older woman, who she was supposed to be, because she talks about her mum and her dad, and that's me, she was obviously a young woman. So she was playing a younger person, but then she wasn't as young as I thought she was, because she then started talking about affairs that she was having, and I'm thinking, right, okay, so how old are you supposed to be? But that's that's by the by. And that was never really resolved, was it?
But she tells her story of her life, and obviously what is chilling is that you suddenly get the and the voiceover is in German, but you've got it on the screen, and it's saying that, you know, Jews are forbidden to do this, and then it just gets worse and worse and worse. You know, they're just prevented from doing everything, and then the yellow
Star of David.
Star that they have to wear is introduced. So
It's the Star of David, isn't it?
Not. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I think it is the anyway. And you see her start to write her diary. So the story starts to build up. But she's a very and I wrote notes in the taxi between the two because I knew it was going to be a while before we did this. It's a chronicle of the Jewish treatment that starts. Talks about her relationships with men, but she had a very positive view of life all the way through it.
Etty we're talking about.
Yeah, Etty. And I'm just going to read you a couple of things quotes from her diary that are in here, which I think illustrate it. So, something else about this morning, the perception very strongly born that despite all the suffering and injustice, I cannot hate others. And then another short one. Against every new outrage and every fresh horror, we shall put up one more piece of love and goodness. And she spoke, you know, her dialogue. I'm not saying she spoke all the time like that, but I think those illustrate her outlook on life throughout it. She always thought that, you know, that there was hope all the way through it. I mean, there is, I
mean, it's a difficult piece.
Yeah.
Because of the subject matter, really.
Yes.
I think I found it very moving, the whole thing, really. Particularly the last.
Yeah, because I
20
think
minutes. It's an hour and 20 minutes in total, is the whole thing.
Yeah. But there is, towards the end, we are invited, and actually none of us realised that we were actually moving.
That's
through.
what we were. So Etty had left the space that we'd been
and
in
she'd sort of
for the first hour.
pulled a curtain sort of half across,
and then the thing come up on the top, and none of us really knew that we were meant to follow her.
Yeah.
I don't know how they make that more obvious.
No. No, because they did.
And
the voiceover read what it said, but it didn't it wasn't, even though it said, mind the steps, mind your heads.
Yeah.
It didn't actually say, now please follow Etty.
Yeah.
This way, mind the step, mind.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
We all, I mean, a couple opposite sort of. I think that lady recognised before the she stood, but then her husband, her partner, they wasn't sure.
No,
so
and
she sat down again. So none of us were absolutely clear about it, and
I thought they were leaving, and I'm thinking, really?
No, I never.
And then I clicked what she. Anyway, then we all walked.
We all went through.
We followed, and there were objects sort of placed, like there was a big Nazi flag, and there were other things. Very poignant things as we were led through to, which was a much bigger space, much taller, and there was lots of remembrance.
Yeah, I noticed.
It was whether or not it's called the Remembrance Chapel, I don't know. But they had
the whole wall of names, which was very poignant to
poppies and things.
I mean, it was obviously to do with, you know, the old St Paul's Church and remembrance.
But I thought,
but actually, them using that space.
I thought it was lovely that they used that space. That was the last sort of scene.
And we had although it was bigger, we had the same sort of number of chairs around, and there was a screen, and we had we finished the last 20 minutes of the piece there.
Yeah. And there's a rather lovely sort of gesture at the end.
I don't think she's sure what it is.
No, I'm not going to say what it is.
But it is a nice gesture. It's very poignant at the end. It's very moving.
So the whole thing has been thought through, and it's an interesting, the parallel lives, and they're also interweaved, especially as it says in the programme.
Yeah.
That the contemporary figure of Sam is an older person, and she's an ambassador for a mental health charity, and it sort of addresses that as well. I'll say when it's on in a minute, but how many stars? I think it was a very ambitious piece, and I think it should be rewarded for that.
Okay.
So I'm going to say a 5.
I'm going to go for a 4. I thought it was a really good piece, and I thought it was very well acted. So
I think it was a very strong performance.
And it's a really, again, this is what the Fringe does sometimes. It's an unusual space.
Yeah,
the church.
I really like that.
They've been very inventive with the space.
Yes.
And I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, and a lot of thought has gone into the piece in how it's been produced, directed, and also they have gone to a lot of trouble because there's bits of music that are played throughout. There's a lovely atmospheric. Just a moment. There's an atmospheric piece that's played while we're in the sort of waiting, which really sets the scene. But then they use bits of music that I think the original. Yeah, that's in the programme. For me, they didn't use it enough. The music isn't highlighted enough. The only other thing I would say about the music is in the first 2/3, a lot of the piano pieces sounded slightly distorted. Yeah.
I didn't know whether they were meant to sound distorted.
No, true.
To make them sound old.
Yeah.
But they did sound slightly distorted.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
They did.
That didn't happen in the second half when we've moved rooms. And it's just a small point. I mean, we Anyway, it's on at 5 o'clock every day. It's for an hour and 20 minutes in All Saints Paul's Church, which is venue 267, I think. 267, yes. Right bang next door to venue 45 on Jeffrey Street. Yeah. So you have to go in through the same door. But
so yes, 267 is upstairs and 45, which is a space.
I'd say when it's on right the way through until the 27th, apart from Sundays. So it's not on the 18th and it's not on the 25th. The price is £15 full price, £10 concession and the £10 family ticket, but check the family ticket thing. A really good piece. So it's 4 stars from me, in fact, from Jenny.
Yeah. No, I think they should be applauded. For it.
Yeah. So thanks very much. We'll be back very shortly with the piece about the football ground.
Okay.
So see you shortly.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.